Thank you then. So we're moving on to item 8, which is an update report on stop and search in West Yorkshire. And we have had a number of reports in the past about this, but since the introduction of the best use of stop and search, I think there have been a lot of improvements, and obviously the number of stop searches has come down consistently over the last couple of years. But I'll hand over to you, Angela, to update. Thanks.
Thank you. So the report you've got, Commissioner, covers the last 12 months to September 16, and as you've outlined there, there's a rolling sort of 3-month quarterly update in relation to this report. So you can see on the information that we've provided, in the last 12 months we've done around 14,000 stop searches, so it's just over around 1,000 a month or 3,000 per quarter. And as you stated there, it has reduced of late by about 40% actually over the last 2 or 3 years in West Yorkshire, but that is in line with the national picture as well. Yeah. So all forces have seen that reduction. In the report on paragraph 3 it talks about disproportionality, and the report outlines that 24.3% of stop searches are featured on people of a BME background, so a black minority ethnic background, which is a little bit out of line with the last census profile that we've got, which is 18%, but we need to be mindful that that's now 6 years out of date. And that's from 2011. So actually, data would show that's an increasing population group. The report this time unpicks a little bit further around the group of people that are often stop and search, which are the people between ages 16 to 29. And whilst we stop and search 27% of that group, which are of a BME background, the BME population, the younger population in West Yorkshire is higher at 23%. So the disproportionality is far less when looking at the group of people that we often search. The report outlines that most stop and searches, so just over half, about 54%, are in relation to Section 23 of the Misuse of Drugs Act, and that is where somebody's searched in public or a vehicle, so a person or a vehicle, where we've got reasonable grounds to suspect that they may have drugs on them. And those are the main sorts of searches we do, and as I say, it's about 54%. When you look through the report, you can see that the second category, where we use our powers, 44% of occasions is in relation to Section 1 of PACE. And that's where we're looking for stolen or prohibited articles, such as knives, etc., or weapons, and we also have to have reasonable grounds to suspect that those will be found when we search people. The report outlines a positive outcome in relation to people that we do stop and search, whether it's for the drugs or whether it's for Section 1 of PACE. And what the report talks about is arrests are 11%, which is high nationally, and positive outcomes are 17% of the time. So it does show that we are stop searching the right people to have such positive outcomes on a national grounds. Paragraph 7 of the report talks about that we've, in the last period, stop searched 6 people for more than outer clothing, so that's more than their outer jacket or the coat, and 58 strip searches have been done, but that covers all ethnicities. The vast bulk of those are obviously within the custody setting. The report then outlines around the Home Office best use of stop and search scheme. So that is in relation to 3 areas. One is a Section 60 power, which in legislation talks about it being a superintendent, but the scheme actually talks about it being an assistant chief constable level, and reasonable grounds to believe in relation to serious violence taking place. That's one element of the best use of stop and search scheme. The second element is in relation to the complaints or the community triggers, and the third element of the scheme is about the ride-along scheme. So you can see from the report we haven't had any Section 60 authorities, and just to sort of refresh our memories, we'd often use those if the grounds fit, say, for an EDL or a Britain First protest within our communities. Complaints triggers are low, so we've had 3 in the last quarter. We've had 2 in Leeds and 1 in Kirklees, so just 3 in the last quarter, of which some of those are still ongoing. And then the ride-along scheme for the last quarter, we've had 26 ride-alongs across the force area, but we've had 43 actually when you look at the longer-term picture. This is just in the last quarter. And you'll notice we have got, which is unusual because we haven't had this before, we've got the bulk of the ride-alongs being in Kirklees, 15, 8 in Leeds, 3 in Wakefield, but none in Bradford and Calderdale. And I've had a look at that and unpicked that a little bit further to look at why that's the case. Ongoing work that we've got in relation to Stop and Search is around some community engagement work, but actually quite a lot of that has already been done by the ride-along schemes and the independent advisory groups that we've taken it to. And we're currently looking at rolling out the College of Policing training package that hasn't been done as yet, but that starts next month up at our training school there, and it's a days-long course. So we've talked before about the 34 recommendations from HMIC who came out and have inspected us for it, and we get a green tick. We do very well in relation to all of those, apart from the training rollout. And as I say, that's about to start, and it's a one-day course for Stop and Search, and that's ongoing. So that's the report in totality, but obviously with some data, or you may have some questions.
Yeah, no, thank you for that report and updates, Angela. Just on paragraph 6, could you just briefly explain the difference between positive outcomes and arrests?
Yes, it may be
Yeah.
a positive outcome may be a cannabis warning or dealt with out of the community as opposed to brought into the police station. So the individual may have been found to have, say, a knife on them or drugs on them, but they'd be dealt with voluntary. So they'd come into the police station as a voluntary attender as opposed to through the custody process. Because we should only be arresting people where the grounds are necessary for us to do so. Yeah.
And again, just for clarity on the best use of Stop and Search section 60.
Yes.
Is you mentioned ACC level approval? Is that
yes.
Is that the case?
That is the case.
Yeah.
And everyone we have done, but we haven't had any in the last quarter, have been at ACC level.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
The last one was, I think, last year in Bradford with Mark Wilson.
Sure. I take the points you made around the population changes, and we know that Bradford, for example, has the youngest population of any major city in Europe, never mind the UK. That's the latest information I've been given. So we do need to take all that into context and consideration. Just drilling down a little bit then, Angela, into some of the best use of Stop and Search figures, and also the issue of strip and search. So, of the 58 strip searches,
yes.
Are you able to say whether any of those generated subsequent complaints, or what were the outcomes generally?
We've had no complaints over the last 12 months in relation to strip searches.
Right.
58, so we haven't had any complaints at all.
And you said that virtually all of those within the custody.
Yes, what the legislation says is we can't do that type of search in a police van, for example. So usually they'd be brought into the confines of a custody suite where we can undertake that in a very enclosed environment, obviously same-sex officer, etc.
Yeah. No, thanks for that. Regarding the complaints trigger, sorry, this is under the best use of
yes.
Stop and Search. So I appreciate you won't be able to go into much detail here, but it's we have the encounters that are set out there with an 8 and 11-year-old girl, an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old girl.
Yes.
It's really just to ask for an update at the appropriate time when the appeals to those have been concluded.
Yes, so we can certainly provide that when the appeal and when they've been dealt with. If you remember last year when we had similar circumstances, we had a group of young people where they realised they were going to be Stop and Search. These were teenagers, but one of them had a younger sibling with them, and they passed the drugs to the younger sibling who was under 10.
Yeah.
So whilst I'm not saying that is the case with these,
Yeah.
and clearly we can provide an update, we have had that in the past.
Yeah. Okay, no, thanks for that. Just I think given the ages of those,
yes.
it'd be interesting to know what the outcomes of those appeals are. Thank you. And another question is that you have actually again sort of added a bit more context around the figures around the ride-along scheme, which is set out in the section again on the best use of stop and search. That over a longer period it was 43 rather than the 26. But nevertheless, do you have any data available on the age or ethnicity of participants in the scheme last year? And for example, is the scheme appealing to members of the community particularly affected by stop and search, such as the age group between 16 and 29?
Yes, we have. Well, around 20% of the participants that have gone on the ride along are of an Asian background, and we've been encouraging that throughout the force area as well, because obviously we're aware of that disproportionality I spoke about earlier. But also a lot of the people who come on the scheme are between the ages of 16 and 24. If they're between the ages of 16 and 17, they have to bring an appropriate adult or an older family member with them. But it has been very popular with those, and we've done quite a lot of work with Leeds University, Leeds College, and then Kirklees University as well, Huddersfield University.
Thanks for that. So, do you know if that 43 figure that you mentioned, are any of those within the Bradford or Calderdale areas? Because clearly it is a concern to see that there doesn't appear to have been any take-up of the ride-along in those two districts more recently.
That's just in relation to the last quarter.
Right.
And certainly when I've asked at Calderdale, the person that arranged it had actually been off sick, so they've got a bank of them stacked up, which they're now going to obviously get in contact with and offer them the ride-along. So I think it's more to do with our staffing issues and individuals not being there, as opposed to members of the public not coming forward. We have picked that up.
So it's not to do with any lessons that we might have put in place in terms of the success in Kirklees and some of the other districts?
No, it's to do with the one person that would organise it not being at work.
Okay.
I think the benefit, again, coming back to Body One video, is that the ride-along scheme is a good thing in best use of stop and search, by allowing people to, witness the grounds and the conduct of a stop and search. But the practical reality of how often that might occur when you're out on a ride-along is minimal on occasions. We're really looking forward to, getting to a place where there's random reviews of all of our stop and search off Body One videos. So, the scrutiny panels at this moment in time review the forms and can call an officer in. But I think we look forward to the day when independent advisory groups and scrutiny groups can review all of our stop and searches and could come in and say, let me review all of your BME stop and searches, please. And, I think that will, be a progressive way forward as to, we can see then the grounds and the circumstances of each stop search, and we can have that feedback as an organisation.
Yeah, no, I mean that will be really helpful, won't it, when we get that video footage to be looked at as well. Yeah.
And I think when you look at Appendix B, which talks about the detailed questionnaire that Leeds have been running to try and find out how effective they've been, you can see from there, whilst 8 out of 8 would recommend the scheme, only 2 out of 8 actually got to witness a stop and search, because it has to be really clear. We can't just use the powers to show the public. It's got to happen lawfully and necessary. But the Force Independent Advisory Group have asked for some footage around a stop and search, so therefore they won't be able to watch the book as a bit of a training exercise. So when we've got that, we'll be able to share it. Yeah,
thank you. As you said, it was good news that the HMIC gave us a green tick or a green light based on the recommendations. You just mentioned, Angela, around the training side of that. Did you just sort of update on that aspect?
Yeah, the course that we had presented to us was supposed to be 2 days in duration, so we wanted to unpick that and look at what was actually within that content. So the team under Rachel have looked at that, and they've actually been able to streamline it, because some of the things we teach in that course are being taught elsewhere, and get it down to a day, and that's now starting with Force Training School, and that's going to be rolled out very soon. So therefore that's the last element that we just needed to sort out.
Thank you, that's very good, thanks for that. Just finally to mention, we have launched a joint survey on stop and search, which will not only offer feedback from those who are stopped and searched, but also offer a view on how the general public feel about its use. So the survey will remain open. I think it's on both our websites, isn't it? and a separate consultation document will also be sent to our partners this week, so that hopefully will help in terms of more evidence and the wider picture of getting more feedback in. So other than that, I haven't got any other questions, unless there's anything else you want to add. Okay, thank you, thanks for that update.